we will tell you about the comedy and epic poem written in the early 1300s by the Italian Dante Alighieri, who is mostly referred to as just Dante. Dante had to fear nothing for her beloved name, Beatrice. This story was the greatest love story ever told, an epic journey that encompasses both the human and the divine. At the midpoint of the journey of life, Dante found himself in a dark forest, for the clear path was lost. In a distance, he can see a foothill, a mountain, where the sun shines bright. He decides it must be safer than the wood, and so he starts his ascent. But as he climbs, he encounters a leopard and the lions. Overwhelmed by these animals, he has no choice but to turn back to the forest. And a spirit exists, known as Virgil. He tells Dante that he can guide him to paradise, but first, they must journey through hell. Together they pass through the gates of hell and begin their journey. A place where all hope is abandoned. A city of eternal woe and pain. They go through and enter what's called Inferno, which is before you really reach what we start calling the layers of hell. This area is for people that have had the choice between good and evil and could not choose, so have therefore been rejected by both heaven and hell. There are angels here as well, those that chose neither side in the war of good versus evil. They are also tormented. Dante and Virgil come to the great river, which serves as the boundary of hell. And many souls wait for a boat ride from Charon, who appears in Greek mythology on the river into Hades. So Charon crosses with them, and we encounter the first real circle of hell, and this one is Limbo. Dante, we will now go to the first circle of hell, and this is Limbo. The ninth circle comprised Inferno, when Lucifer residing in the lowest horrifying. Yes, there are more damned in hell than liberated paradise. Beyond Limbo is the fallen king Minos, judge of the damned. But for those who remain in Limbo, the rest shall be sentenced to the circle below. And that is Virgil said. Dante's respond, and who remains in Limbo? The souls who reside here were not necessarily bad people in terms of sins committed, but they did not possess the necessary faith. Many of them rejected Christianity. The unbaptized is how they describe. Virgil answered. The second circle. Dante and Virgil, eventually they depart and make their way onwards to the second circle of hell. Lust. Men who lust opposite sex are the first men to be truly punished in hell. You see souls and blown about sensuality. People who symbolize the power of lust and became needlessly here in hell. Go! See for yourself. Virgil said. You're not coming? Dante's asked. And Virgil said, this is your fight. So go on. Virgil! Dante's screamed. The first circle was undoubtedly a punishment, but those who resided they still had some freedom. But the second circle onwards is where the real punishment began. Second circle of hell was intended for those who had succumbed to lust, and the punishment is also the most lenient inside of hell itself. With the help from Virgil, Dante is allowed past Minos, and they enter to the third circle of hell, gluttony.
In a place where an icy rain never stops resides the third circle of hell, gluttony. Gluttons are punished by leaving them squirming in dreadful mud like worms. With them is Cerberus, a three-headed hound who patrols the area and mauls the gluttonous with his claws under their helpless cranes. Virgil manages to calm the beast and made them to pass safely. They pass on some spirits who were in the circle for a long time. These spirits lack physique and are merely in the form of smelly liquid. Dante meets Ciaco, but he fails to recognize him. However, Ciaco recognized that it is Dante back in Florence and gave him political prophecies. As they venture into the fourth circle, they encountered Pluto, a deity of wealth. In this circle of greed resides those who valued material goods too much. They are divided into two groups. First one are composed of those who hoard their wealth, and the second are consisted of those who spend their money freely and neglected their value. These two groups are cursed to push enormous weights up a hill. At the summit, they meet each other and clash due to their differences, only to tumble down and repeat it endlessly. They reach the river Styx and the fifth circle of hell, wrath. The river resembles a swamp, depicting a raging battle. Virgil and the boatman Phlyligus had a short disagreement, but eventually agrees to ferry them to the other side. As they went across, a soul named Filippo Argenti jumps up and grabs the boat. He was a bitter political rival of Dante back in Florence. The two got into heated discussion, and Dante wishes for Filippo to suffer more. From afar, they noticed fiery towers and burning wars, indicating that they are approaching the city of Dis, the lower portion of hell according to Virgil. Upon their arrival, they are denied to enter by the fallen angels who guard the gates. Virgil, however, was granted entry alone, only if he would never return to his own circle. Dante begins to worry and thinks that he may never leave hell. Virgil tries to include Dante by opening the gates once he is inside, but turns to be unsuccessful. The gates behind him were shut by the angel, but assures Dante that he will never abandon him. Dante begins to doubt his guide and asks Virgil if he's ever been this deep in hell before. He responds by saying he did once, when the sorceress Eryxo sent him to retrieve a soul for her necrotic rituals. All of a sudden, Furies appeared. They were three blood-stained female figures, namely Alecto, Meguera, and Tisiphone. They were displeased by Dante's presence and decided to turn him into stone by summoning Medusa. Virgil warned him to avoid her gaze at all costs, to prevent petrification and trap in hell forever. An angelic figure emerges from the river Styx and started to head towards them. The Furies frantically flee, and the angels that guards the gates were reprimanded. The angel opens the gate for the two to enter. The circle of Dieter contains the circles 6 to 9, with the circle 6 located within the walls. In the circle of heresy, the two stumbled upon a group of heretics, locked inside burning tombs as punishments. They are known as Epicureans, who believe that the body dies as well as the soul. This made them value pleasure above all else, since it allows them to attain a state of tranquility. They believe that pleasure acts as an escape to all pain and discomfort, which makes their punishment in hell an ironic one.
The sixth circle of the hell. Virgil and Dante prepare for the next circle, which is the circle of the violence. This also might be for those who are violent to themselves, committing acts of suicide. Also, these are violent against God, such as blasphemers against God and violent against nature, God's creation. Virgil and Dante asked creature named Geryon to take them to the eighth circle of hell. This beast is a symbol of a fraud, as he has the face of a man which tricks you, while he stings you with a scorpion tail. This level, it's foul, almost with demons torturing people all around. Those that have deceived and manipulated others during their lives. These punishments are terrifying, yet liable to their crimes. And the final circle of hell is Satan himself, a giant three-headed beast that is forever flapping his grand wings, which makes the level of hell actually frozen, and the half of Satan's body is frozen. He is forever punishing the three greatest betrayals in history: Judas, who betrayed Jesus Christ, and Brutus and Caius, who betrayed Julius Caesar. They all deepest bowels of hell for what they supposedly did. Their adventures to the surface is quick, and they now arrive at the base of purgatory.